is mainly what we're going to be doing here, is comparing the Egyptian and Nubian society with that of ancient Mexico, because this is, in our hypothesis, is where we believe that the brothers and sisters who first made a contact in the Americas came from. And it will become obvious to you as we move along why we've selected this particular region in Africa as being the first one to make the contact. Here you can see the priest king Pakal from the area of called Palenque, also off the Gulf Coast. It's not very far from the Venta area. In fact, I just returned from there just less than a week, just a little over a week ago. And you can see here the concept of the cross here. Now this is important because Christianity flourished in America the same reason that it flourished throughout most of Africa. Because many of the principles and concepts of Christianity were already here. They had the concept of a resurrection story and the virgin birth story. You had Q, the mother, the great mother in the Aztec religion, Excel, the great mother in the Maya religion, who had given birth. In fact, one of them, Q, she had taken a hummingbird's feathers and stuck it into her belt. And then she noticed that she had become impregnated by the feathers of a bird. And she bore a holy son. And so this particular son, which is the sun god of the Aztecs, when he came into being, he said to his mother, because he knew his brothers and sisters would be jealous of this particular event, that I will be there to protect you. And so when his brothers and sisters, the moon and the stars, came against the great mother, it was the sun god who came and defended his mother. A concept of immaculate conception just like that of ancient Kemet, where you find that Isis was impregnated by, Osiris, who came in the form of a spirit, in the form of a bird. This is important. We move on, we can see here at the moment of death, Pakal falling into the underworld, into the jaws of the underworld. Now what is interesting about that is we know that when you go to the ancestors in ancient Kemet, the first one to meet you at the gates of heaven was a jackal. The jackal that we call Anubis. Now, I found this incredible, that in the Nahat religion, the Maya religion, that the first stratum, there are 9 stratums in their underworld, the very first stratum is the stratum of the river. The great river, there's this long mythical river in the underworld, and the dogs help the soul to cross the river. This is exactly the same thing that we have in ancient Kemet, where the jackal Anubis greets the departed at the gates of heaven and sends them along the banks of the Nile River to cross into the western side of heaven. The same exact thing. And not only did they use a dog, but they used a coyote. A coyote who is the exact relative of the jackal. Both of them are scavengers. Both of them are used by nature to clean the earth of deceased animals. They're the ones that keep disease off the face of the earth. So they had the exact zootype. Here in America, as you see the jackal Anubis and the young boy King Tutankhamun's tomb, as the first thing Carnarvon and them found when they entered the tomb facing was the jackal, because he is the one that greets you at the gates of heaven. This is a constant theme throughout ancient Kemet. And so you can see Anubis here greeting the departed. The first one you meet is the jackal. Moving on, we can see here, the first one you meet, his heart is being weighed against the feather of truth, is the jackal. So you find in the tombs of Mexico, many of the tombs in Mexico, the dog. Just as you found the jackal, the coyote, to greet the departed at the gates of heaven and to help him cross the first river in the first stratum of the underworld. So how did this get to America? Did they just suddenly come up with this concept by themselves? Brilliant concept, a mythical river, and jackal dogs to help them cross this great mythical river. As I always ask in my other lectures, at what point does possibility become probability? We'll continue on. They tell a story about the area of Tenochtitlan and also Teotihuacan, of how the people had migrated to these particular areas in this great valley, a valley that's surrounded by volcanoes, and in the midst of this is a great lake. And they were told by their ancestors that they would find a lake with an island in the middle of the lake, and on this particular island you would see an eagle devouring a serpent perched on cactus, as you can see here. And where you find this particular place, this is called the place where the gods are born. And this is where they developed the great ceremonial center. Now, to many of us, that may sound familiar, because we know that when Mena and Narmer came down the banks of the Nile River, he came from the interior of Africa, and the place of the falcon, where the falcon perched, was in the interior of Africa. And it was in the interior of Africa at the equator that the falcon had a struggle with the evil one, Set-Typhon, or Apit, the vile serpent. So this particular place was the Kui land, the holy land, the God's sacred land of the ancient Egyptians. And so here you have in America a very similar story for the foundations of one of their societies. And you can see here the Native Americans, as they look on, as they have spotted this particular island in the lake, where you find the eagle devouring the serpent. And then we have to look at the profound implications of this, because we know one of the natural predators of the serpent is the hawk, and it is the eagle. And so because the serpents were so deadly, could cause death within a matter of minutes, they knew that there was hope in the symbol of the falcon and the symbol of the eagle, because they could, like a hero, swoop down on the serpent, the thing that we fear so much, and just kill it, just like that. And so the symbol of the sun, as they saw the sun in the heavens and the bird in the sky going around and around in the heavens and coming down and attacking the serpent, that became the symbol of the sun god, the symbol of Horus. The symbol of the gods around the world are represented generally by birds. And so you can see the concept of the feathered serpent. This represents the fundamental dichotomy of life. The concept of life and death. The concept of the earth and the heavens. The concept of good and the bad. The concept of the mother and the man. The dichotomy of life. The concept of controlling one's bad side versus one's good side. The sum and bottom, the greatest good, as George M. James talks about in The Stolen Legacy. This is represented by the feathered serpent. The concept of what is godly or what is heavenly by the eagle or the falcon, and that which is earthly, which is symbolically represented by the serpent. And so this is a fundamental element that you see in both of these societies, the concept of the feathered serpent. Became the very symbol of power in Kemet. For over 3,000 years, it was the very power of the Pharaoh himself. As you can see, the mortuary temple of Queen Hatshepsut, as is reconstructed in this particular piece of art, the concept of the feathered serpent here, all over Kemet. Here at the temple of Quetzalcoatl here in Mexico, in Teotihuacan, 40 miles outside of Mexico City, you can see the feathered and plumed serpent as it comes down the temple, much like the feathered serpent there at Hatshepsut's temple there at Bahari, which we call Zesaru in ancient times. Again, the feathered serpent, all these things, at some point we have to ask, at what point does possibility become probability? You have the concept of pyramid building. To borrow a phrase from Saddam Hussein, the mother of all pyramids. The mother of all pyramids right here, and you find here in Mexico, the Great Pyramid here at Teotihuacan, the Pyramid of the Sun, the base of this particular pyramid is identical. It's identical to the base of the Great Pyramid there in Egypt. And it's about half the height. Now just imagine this. Now you can see the people on top of the pyramid here. Now you can get an idea of the scale of this. This is a huge pyramid. Now this particular pyramid is only half the height of this pyramid. So that this pyramid is so large that the scale, you can't even conceive the scale properly until you put it in conjunction or comparison with another temple. They found hieroglyphic writing. Hieroglyphic writing here in America. And many of the symbols are very similar to that of ancient Egypt. The letter Ta, which we call land. Ta Mary, I named my little girl. Ta Mary means the born land. Taharka. Ta means land. Har means Horus or sun. Ka is the spirit, the land or the place of the living spirit of the god. Ta in Mexico meant the same thing. It meant land. You had Ta Man Khan, which meant also the spirit, the spiritual dwelling place of the god. The same thing that you had in Kemet, Ta being land. There were many, many of them. I won't go into all of them because we want to get through all of this. But there are many similarities in the Mayan religion, in the Mayan writing that is very similar to that of ancient Kemet. And they used to always make fun of us, the cotton picking people. Picking cotton, dancing, and all these other things that they said about us and tried to make a negative out of it. Yes, we were associated with cotton. We showed white folks how to make a shirt. This is important. But then they found cotton in America. They found cotton, and Van Sertima talks about this all the time. They found a hybrid with 26 chromosomes, 13 old world chromosomes and 13 new world chromosomes. And they found that the only way that this cotton could have gotten to America is through human contact. They tried all kinds of ways to get the cotton over to America in bottles going across the water.